I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go to the secretary, please call.
Commissioner Albright,
Present.
Commissioner Calderon,
Present.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Here.
Commissioner Ramos,
Present.
Commissioner Wu,
Here.
Vice Chair Fong,
Here.
Chair Morrissey,
Here. Before we begin, I'd like to remind my fellow commissioners to turn your microphones on when speaking and off when not speaking. And when speaking, please place your microphone about 4 inches. Heard. Thank you. Members of the public may attend planning commission meetings in person or virtually via Zoom. Now invite the commission secretary to describe the way the public can access and participate in the meeting.
This meeting is being live streamed via our portal, www.santaana.primegov.com/public-portal, and to YouTube, www.youtube.com/City of Santa Ana videos. If you'd like to provide a public comment, you may do so in the following ways. Join the meeting via Zoom, entering meeting ID 812932747777. When the item that you would like to comment on is being discussed, select the hand icon to let us know you would like to speak. You will be called upon by the name you enter. If you'd like to join this meeting through a call, please dial 669-900-9128. Enter meeting ID 812932747777. When the item that you'd like to comment on is being discussed, press *9 to let us know you'd like to speak, and press *6 to unmute yourself. You will be called upon by the last 3 digits of your phone number. For those who are attending this meeting in person and would like to provide a public comment, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. All speakers will be given 3 minutes to speak. I will alert you when your time is up.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Moving on to public comments on non-agenda items. Secretary, does anyone wish to speak?
If you are attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on this item, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. If you are participating via Zoom and would like to comment on this item, please select the hand icon and unmute yourself. If you are calling in and would like to comment on this item, please dial *9 and press *6 to unmute yourself. And we'll leave these. Chair, we do not have any speakers.
Thank you. Moving on to consent calendar. Is there a motion to approve item A, minutes from December 20, 2021, and item B, news absences?
I'm
Second.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Calderon and a second by Commissioner McLaughlin.
No. Alan, did you that?
I'm sorry.
Motion. Alan motion, second.
Second by
Oh,
Commissioner Calderon. Sorry.
I gave it to you. Thank you, Mike. You took it.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, call for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Albright,
Yes.
Commissioner Calderon,
Aye.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos,
Aye.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
Vice Chair Fong.
Aye.
Chair Morrison.
Aye.
Motion has passed with majority vote.
That concludes the consent calendar. Moving on to the business calendar. I'll go through the public hearing protocols. I'll now review the process for public hearing so that everyone knows what to expect. Staff will provide a presentation and answer questions from the commission. Next, the public hearing will be open. Next, the applicant will be given the opportunity to speak, limited to 15 minutes. Then members of the public will be given the opportunity to comment, limited to 3 minutes. Then the applicant will be given the opportunity to respond to comments made by the public, limited to 5 minutes. Then the public hearing will be closed. We'll follow with this discussion. We'll return to commission with formal action taken to approve, approve, deny, or continue the application. Please refer to the following suggestions in organizing your comments. Please state your name and address. Voluntary. Please state whether you support, oppose, or are neutral to the proposal. And C, your statement should include all pertinent facts within your knowledge, avoid gossip, emotion, and repetition. Clear, concise, and non-repetitive argument is most effective. This is the time and place for the public hearing on item number 1, conditional use permit number 2021-18 for the property located at 2901 South Diamond Street. Please note, the decision on this matter is final unless appealed within 10 days by an interested individual or party. Before we begin, do any commissioners have anything they wish to disclose with regards to this item? Start with Commissioner Calderon. Nothing to disclose. Commissioner Albright.
I have nothing to disclose.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
I have nothing to disclose.
Commissioner Wu. Nothing. Commissioner Ramos.
No disclosures.
Vice Chair Fan. And I have nothing to disclose. And we have Ms. Heidi Jacinto will now provide a brief presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members of the commission. The application before you this evening is Conditional Use Permit 2021-18. The subject site is 2901 South Daimler. The application request is for approval to allow operation of a new gymnasium within the professional zoning district. Staff recommends adoption of a resolution approving the CUP. The general plan designation for the subject site is District Center. As previously described, the zoning district is professional. Surrounding land uses include an industrial building to the north and east. To the south, there is an office building, and to the west, an office park. The lot size is approximately 0.57 acres. On the screen, you see an image of the site. This is the building that they will be occupying. So the proposed project is a new private gymnasium that would be for children and young adults specializing in gymnastics and cheerleading. The training facility would feature a variety of classes for gymnastics training, tumbling drills, and dance and floor routines. The applicant's also proposing interior improvements that will be for the installation of any facility-related equipment and to bring the site into compliance with the building code for the new occupancy of the use. Parking improvements are also proposed, which includes restriping of the parking lot, as well as trash enclosure improvements that would include a new cover for the trash enclosure. On the screen is a site plan of the site. This is the first floor plan. And we have the second floor. So the tenant improvements that are proposed would be to satisfy any building code requirements, as the site was previously used for an industrial use and will now be used for the gymnasium. This is an optimal location as it is located, it is not located within the immediate vicinity of any sensitive land uses. It will also not adversely affect the general plan and is compatible with the surrounding environment, which is consistent with the goals and objectives of the general plan. Additionally, conditions of approval, including a property maintenance agreement, would intend to address any potential negative impacts. So in environmental determination, exemption will be filed, a class 1 exemption for existing facilities. Additionally, no fiscal impact is associated with this project. Staff's recommendation is to adopt a resolution approving 2021-18 with the above conditions added. Due to a misprint, 2 conditions were omitted from the resolution, and those would address any office spaces that will not be subleased for any use not related to the gymnastics facility. Additionally, any intensification of use, including tournaments or other special events, are subject to further review by the planning department. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Bring back to the commission, is there any questions for staff? Mr. Wu?
Yes, Mr. Crypto, on page 3 of 7, section 3, there's a statement made regarding the applicant shall identify the application. Currently, before Jared O'Connor, David O'Connor, there's a lawsuit between the post chair Inc. et al. Versus the SC chair LLC, and all of those 1 to 10. And I was wondering, what is the nature of the lawsuit? Can we talk about it in public?
Commissioner Wu, it's not clear how that lawsuit impacts this case, and I'm not aware from your description of the city as a party. Would you care to elaborate?
Yes, as you know, the world of gymnastics for children and adults, who are also children, but they call them adults. There's and I'm not saying about this particular group, nor any of the applicant or investors or shareholders or whatever, the LLC. But my concern is anything to do with the lawsuit has to do with the national stand in terms of the next that is happening in the South County. It's filed in several locations in South County.
Commissioner, I'm not aware. We have to look at the details of that lawsuit to more fully answer that question, and it would be up to staff as to whether they would like to.
So maybe this is a financial thing, but it's
Do that or not. Maybe not going to look into with that side. That's the question.
that concerns me is the age of participant and the age of bathrooms that they have. And some of the bathrooms on the first floor, you got the net and then here's the separation here. So you go in this way to go back. And I'm concerned that with the number of participants at some time, is there any supervision there? And related to that question, if the young age of some of the gymnasts are young, it would mean that their parents were probably driving there. And the hours for most of the events starts after 2:30 when they leave. So I'm kind of just imagining that the parents would be there in the parking situation doesn't get really heavy, but after 2:30, I think here with the other businesses in the area. And I was wondering if there's a parking plan, which will say limited parking certain hours, even 1 hour and home, you know, those kinds of things that work out the plan. Since we have, there are some people that raise some questions about the parking. And then that's because we also made a statement about the restriping. And that may be the mitigation that I was wondering if the parking plan is part of the mitigation proposal. So my concern on one hand is the how the bathrooms are configured and away from the main floor where all the coaches are working here. How and what protection will be there for kids that have to food. And then the thing about the parking is related to their hours of real business. From 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'm assuming that most of the problems go to the. I don't know how that will impact their business. Thank you.
Sure. So as far as the details as to for the bathrooms and how the inner workings of the gymnasium will operate, I will defer to the applicant. I do believe our applicant, Nikki Little, is going to be present via Zoom. As far as the parking, the site is a part of an integrated industrial complex. However, the site does have parking immediately around the industrial building. And so based on the parking requirements required for the gymnastics facility, the parking immediately adjacent to the industrial building would meet those parking requirements.
I was trying to be careful about looking to not share the negative. I just want a little further.
Now, Mr. Jason Ball is also here present from representing the applicant. He's the applicant actually of the business. He can address any questions and regarding your concerns about the bathroom locations and the supervision of the children. In terms of parking, in your staff report, the entire site was analyzed, including the other businesses on the plans that were provided. The plans have an analysis of the parking for each use that is at the site and how many parking spaces are required and how many are provided. Basically, they are in compliance with our requirements by code. So a parking issue is not anticipated. As you know, in the evenings probably will be less of an issue because the other businesses most likely will be closed. So the entire business, all the parking spaces will be available for parking as well. But in terms of the questions about the restroom, I will defer that to the applicant.
Commissioner Ronald, do you have any questions for staff? Commissioner Ronald? We'll come back to Commissioner Ramos, Commissioner Vice Chair Fan.
Sorry, this is Commissioner Ramos. I have no questions at this time.
Along the lines of parking, I'm less concerned about the level of parking. I'm more concerned about the position of the existing building on site where it basically adjacent to two of the three and I'm wondering if there's been discussion about how the drop off and pickup work. Yeah, I imagine you're going to still situation where parents have to off and
identifies the two types of drop-off. One would be right, very deep away from both the entry drive, there will be cause congestion.
Actually, maybe the applicant can also answer whether they will allow kids to be dropped off without any supervision, without a parent being present. I don't know exactly how they're going to operate their business. So it will be good for them to clarify and give us, provide answers to those questions.
The consumer situations are, I think it's 5 in the morning, traffic is really backed up. If parents are driving to the car, instead of parents are parking there all the way to whether it's a dump. So, not that concern, but more asking back up, they're talking operate at the entry point, which looks like they're right very close to the entry drive. That's a concern.
If that is the case, potentially what they can do is identify some of the parking spaces that could be used for pickup and drop off instead of being, off the driving aisle, or potentially can interfere with internal vehicular movement of the site. But again, I don't know what are the requirements and whether a parent has to stay while, they're there, or whether they can just be dropped off. But that might be something for them to answer.
Thank you. Mr. Paul.
Sure. Couple questions. I don't know if this is applicable to staff or the applicant, but what are the hours of operation for this facility?
So based on a letter given to us by the applicants, they would be open 9 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. with a variety of different blocks for classes. But as far as further details, I would defer to the applicant.
And then how many parking slots this is the total amount of parking for the whole entire, not the whole lot, I would say.
So overall, for the industrial complex, there appears to be 536 parking spaces available for the entire industrial area. Based on the mix of uses, 536 are required. Specifically for this building, there are approximately 45 spaces based on the parking requirements for the gymnastics studio. They were parked at 1 per 180, which would require 45 spaces.
And then are there any designated parking slots for the other businesses that are around them?
Specifically on this site,
Yeah.
or?
Yeah, like for example, like do they have business only for gymnastics, business only for this complex? Like, are there any signs?
Based on a site visit, I did not see any signs.
I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. Mr. Albrady, do you have any questions? For staff?
Yes, I just had a couple. I had the similar questions regarding parking, so those have been answered. I was wondering what was the previous use of this building where the gym, the cheerleading gym will be held?
So the previous use was a warehouse.
Okay, what kind of warehouse? I read that it was a warehouse, but I guess I'm trying to get at what was the parking use under the previous building? The intensity of the use, if that helps.
Mr. Albright, this is Ali. Warehouse is in standing at our market, 1 parking space per 1,000 square feet of floor area.
Okay, and do we ever hear any issues with the parking under the warehouse model?
To my knowledge, prior to this application being submitted, we had not heard of any issues. The commission also might recall that a conditional use permit was approved for this integrated complex back in July of 2021, about 6 months ago, for a new surface parking lot at the Edward Life Sciences property. And at that time, a similar inquiry arose, and at that time, staff was also not aware of any parking issues on the site.
Okay. The other question I had was regarding condition 1. That's the one that that requires the applicant to comply with the Development Review Committee, the DP number 2021-03. So my question is, what is in that document, since it's not attached to the staff report? I just was wondering what is in there.
Commissioner Albright, if I can. The DP is basically reflecting the development project review, so it's any sort of outstanding conditions that the development review committee might have had. These are not conditions per se, they're just code requirements identified in the standing code. For this project, they had to do mostly with public works improvements for the project that had to do with minor repaving of the street in front of a property, as well as reinstallation of a street light and other improvements that were identified by the public works agency commensurate with a project of this scale.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's it for my questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Albright. Commissioner Lawson, you have any questions?
Question, can you go back to the second last slide or last slide? I'm not sure. This is,
Or
again. Right, I'm sorry, not fire. Fire is right there, the second bullet. No. Back on the next, on the previous slide. All right. Oh, previous slide.
Okay.
To show. Okay. Next one. Okay. That second bullet, any intensification of use, including tournaments and other special events, are subject to review by the planning commission. How does that work?
so this is in reference to any kind of special events. If they hold any tournaments on site currently as proposed, this is only going to be a training facility. But this stipulates the planning department. So similar to other special events in the city, they would be submitting an application for a land use certificate that would be reviewed by the planning department administratively.
Why would it be like under the PD when they do like gatherings and events that, I didn't think that one under PD. I'm wrong. If I had an event shut down the streets or do something like that, PD gives a permit. Why is the
Yes.
planning commission becoming involved in this?
So it stipulates planning department.
Still isn't answering. I just said that it's a planning department.
So this would not come back to the commission. It would be an administrative approval or review.
It just seems.
It will not be any different than any other type of events, that other businesses may have, and that they do submit an application for us to review. It gets routed to the police department, to the fire department, to public works if there are going to be any strict closures. So it's not any different than any other permit that is required by other businesses. So it will be treated the same way. And we have already a process in place.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions? I do have a couple questions. One is, what criteria was used for the single determination? Looks like this property is located right here, like that. Here, major arterial, so worry about air quality for athletic use. That criteria to use for the secret.
So based on the project, this is an existing facility, and so an exemption. So this is a class 1 exemption determination.
What is class 1? Basically, we're changing use from warehouse to a significant.
CEQA doesn't actually address necessarily the use, but it addresses the impacts to the environment. This is an existing building, so nothing is being constructed. Under CEQA, even under the existing facilities, you can still do additions to a building as long as those additions are under 10,000 square feet. So basically, any issues in terms of construction, which is what you would have analyzed under CEQA, it's already existing. So there is no impact to the environment because there's nothing being done to the building.
So determination based on the building's impact to the environment, not necessarily the environment's impacts.
By the use, exactly.
Okay. So my other question is relating to that. Are there what ordinances does the city have in place for areas such as this, which would be by environmental justice area, and assuming based on this location, or air quality requirements for HVAC, air filtration of outside particulates for use such as this, very in place.
Well, that will be anything that it's looked with in conjunction with the building plan check, if they are within environmental justice and the building code will require them to do any type of filtration or anything to circulate or clean the air, that will be handled at the plan check level.
But in terms of city ordinances, there's nothing specifically addressing this area that would require a enhanced filtration.
At this point, I don't think we have anything in our code. So it will be whether it's something that if the building code requires that, yes. But in reality, those are typically more related to residential uses more than anything else. And where people actually live and they sleep rather than where they spend their time during the day, unless it's a site that has contamination, which is not the case.
So the other question I had was regarding electric vehicle charging stations. Was there anything on site that triggered the governing requirement for infrastructure?
Typically, that is required with new construction, not when there is an existing building where the use is being changed, unless there was something, again, they're doing upgrades above a certain threshold as identified by the building code that will require those type of upgrades. At this time is basically just upgrades that were identified by the Public Works Department, and those have to be on the more deal with the improvements in the right of way and the parking lot, but not to the building.
So the change of use, isn't it 10 parking stalls or more required? Right. EV charging infrastructure.
So are you saying that when there's a change of use and a change of occupancy, they are required to comply with the building green code?
Well, I guess that's the question. It seems like that.
If that is a requirement at the time that they submit any, if there are improvements, interior tenant improvements that are going to be done, at the time the building code will require, the building division will review the plans and make sure they're in compliance with whatever requirements that are required by the building code. But at this time, I'm not aware that that is being required. And Ali maybe can elaborate if there were any requirements from building code.
Thank you, Chairman Padula. As far as I'm aware of this specific project, they were not triggered. It was also evaluated through the development review process. But if there's any cause for concern on that, a condition could be added by the commission requiring full compliance with that code provision as applicable. Unless the commission wishes to take it a step further and mandate it specifically for this project if there's a perceived nexus between electric vehicle charging and the use. But we're happy to find out more information as well.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was just wondering, so it was evaluated for,
Definitely, yeah, as part of any project that's changing the use, the plans are also reviewed at a high level by the building division, even before submitting to plan check, to anticipate any changes that an applicant such as this would need to be aware of in terms of making investments for anything, including like EV charging stations.
I think I'm more concerned about air quality at this point. So we'll address that during public hearing. Do you have any other questions for staff from the commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Sullivan.
Question to your question is, I mean, this was a warehouse before. And now it's turning into a gymnasium. So I would think that the use of that would be less of an environmental impact than more than environmental. Just a curiosity. And the other thing is, this is a tenant building, correct? It's not owned by the gym. Is it owned by the gym?
This is a tenant.
Pardon?
It's a tenant. It would not, it's not owned by the
And
gymnasium.
so from the standpoint, this is an industrial park. And wouldn't the owner of the industrial park be responsible for the
It depends on the lease with the, so someone would be if it was required.
I'm just guessing who's got responsibility. I mean, because if we're gonna be looking at ourselves from a general plan perspective as being, if we're looking at it from the general plan perspective as being a smart city, then whatever we do now and go on from the time the general plan is approved, we should be looking at these kinds of programs just to what we can do to make it have you be in parking lots like this across the town, across the city. So this, how do we start implementing that and making that happen?
I would say that will be part of the implementation of the general plan when it gets adopted and looking at the different programs and the different fundings that are available. Typically when you ask for charging stations and to comply with the building green code, there has to be an excess, and that's the thresholds that are established. When you do a certain amount of improvements, then those thresholds kick in. So that is the nexus that exists. Now, putting a condition to provide electrical charging stations might be a cost that the applicant cannot absorb. So by making that condition, I will caution that you might make the applicant or the use or the proposed gymnasium economically infeasible. So just wanted to bring that up. But yes, when there are a lot of improvements, additions, changes, and if it triggers certain thresholds, as you may know, Mr. Chairman, the building division will require those improvements. At this point, the general plan has not been updated. Hasn't been adopted, and we have not formulated any programs. But I think Commissioner McLaughlin brings a good point, and that's something that I agree with you. We should be looking into how we incentivize existing buildings that have a lot of parking spaces. They can provide electrical charging, stations. for their employees and, so I agree with you, and that's something, I'll bring that up to Melanie as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so, Madam Chair, and Madam Secretary, do we have any written communication?
Yes, there was 2 items of written communication and they've been distributed to the commission and posted on the website.
And we have 2.
Correct.
Thank you. I will now open the public hearing. We will now take public comments from the public. Secretary, do we have any members of the public that would like to comment?
If you are attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on this item, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. If you are participating via Zoom and would like to comment on this item, please select the hand icon and unmute yourself. If you are calling in and would like to comment on this item, please dial *9 and press *6 to unmute yourself. Chair, we do not have any comments.
Thank you. This applicant, applicant present.
If you would like to approach the podium, you can address some of the questions that the commissioner had. That would be great.
Hi, my name is Stacy. No. The architect. The parking concerns I understand, all the parking spaces that are connected to the building are for that building. One's outside of that space, but actually for public consumption. So anybody can use those spaces. So all the buildings that have parking attached to it, that's for those buildings. And I think the hours that we're using for this facility are usually mostly after hours for our buildings as well. So I think we addressed that pretty strenuously in terms of we were concerned about the parking.
Do you have any information on the HVAC systems and planned filtration?
Well, usually when we get to that, that's usually in the building department. So it's usually not the CUP portion, but once we get to the construction documents, if that's required, then we will address that.
Commissioner, have any questions?
I have a couple questions. So, for the classes, how many classes are you planning on running a day?
Let's see. I don't remember correctly, I think there were like 6 classes.
6 classes a day. And are there any classes that are, or class times that are going to be having like 2 classes on a specific block? Like 2 classes from 1 to 2, for example?
From 1 to 2.
That is just a general example.
Usually the classes are after school classes, and they might be no more than 2 classes.
2 classes like running at the same time. Okay. And then what is the ratio of every class?
They're very small classes, because they're mostly for training.
Okay.
They're not like 30 people or anything like that.
Gotcha.
5, 6.
Okay.
At the most.
Got it. Okay. That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commissioners have questions for the applicant? Commissioner Wu? Commissioner Ramos, do you have any questions?
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner McLaughlin?
No questions.
Vice Chair Kent?
Are you very familiar with chart flow of applicant when they're in use in terms of where drop off, how that's being handled?
It's pretty staggered. Most of the parents not only drop their kids off at the exit, stay and watch the kids. So it's not so much like a school that you talk and get walk on. So we try to provide enough space for something like that. So I can see it, that's how we-
And, I'm just concerned that, the spill out, I know you said it's 4 or 5 students.
Mhm.
My concern is that this is an industrial area,
Yes,
and these are sensitive population in terms of age.
yes.
I would like to see how the business manages the students or the issue members as they're being picked up and as they're being dropped off,
Okay,
just because it's a change of use. In an area that's not, it doesn't have like use.
you can provide a summary or something like that.
And then my other question is that previously, the staff has mentioned that this was a warehouse. Now that it's being served as a gymnasium, concerned about the light on site.
That's actually part of the CUP for the police department. We have to make sure that the site is lit. So that will be addressed in the construction.
I think it's the next study or something along
Yes.
those lines which would be appropriate.
We did that.
Because of the sensitive age group. Thank you, Commissioner. Do you have any other questions, commissioners?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, Commissioner Wu.
I'm looking at the site plan of the first floor. And if I'm reading this right, on the right-hand side, it's all the gym mats and all that, but there's a little pathway from offices and wondering, the office does not show any windows. To use one in and out of the bathroom. And my concern before was because of the age group of the children involved. How do you deal with protection of minors?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think basically, in any building, you just go by code. I mean, you can't,
Can you speak over line?
yes, it's like any building, you just go by code. There's no written rule that says, okay, you have to protect the children, so therefore somebody has to stand there. But because there are kids here, it will be supervised just like a school. We can also, if you like, we could probably do a summary of that as well.
Or would there be racial supervision to children?
Yes,
Do you have a number?
I'll have to come up with that.
So I have a follow-up question on that. Are there changing facilities?
They're not changing.
Okay, so the athletes are arriving.
Ready.
Already ready. to go. Okay. Good. Are there any other questions? Commissioner? Mr. Wu, did you have any other questions?
No, I just didn't give them the answer.
Thank you. So I will now close the public hearing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And bring it back to the commission. If you have any, see if commissioners have any questions of staff. Commissioner Already, do you have any questions for staff?
I do not.
Mr. Calderon,
I do not.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
No, I do not.
Commissioner Wu?
As part of our rules, can we ask the applicant to provide an exhibit showing the drop off and pickup area first back to the
Right into the monitoring plan.
We can add that as a condition of the approval.
Kevin? Yeah, I think that also lacking sense of what the code says at this point in terms of air filtration, given this athletic facility and its location. I'd like to require at least a 113 filter or worse than require that code. Minimum requirement. Let's see what the commissioners think about that. So close to the freeway and directly in the bike path. I think that actually be a great selling point for applicant. Students are working out in a healthy environment.
Mr. Chair, since you brought up the issue, I'm struggling here with the approval because there's nothing along architectural design and parking, those kinds of things that are that we look at that has any concern. But however, in these times, because of COVID-19 and children that can drop this, because you're exercising heavily and heavily really well. I'm just wondering why the group and subject to so review, young children as well, despite what is our obligation. I know that we're not a health and safety. Those things are afterwards, maybe. But the chair has asked the question of, the air filtration, the subject indoor facility. And we don't have answers today. We just got this today. And ask questions that I think there's no answer. And I just want to
I think it's a good point. Require additional study. Additional study in that regard.
What type of studies are you looking for the applicant to prepare?
Well, analyze air quality requirements because we don't have, it's not part of the, obviously we're changing the use, but critical to the use is the quality of the environment. Yeah, sort of training in, but we have no information in front of us to evaluate that. We have it's directly in flight path and very close to major arterial. And there's some information.
And the question was raised as to the formal use. Formal use is different for its areas that it was a warehouse. However, it's being changed to a more like a 24-hour business and the gymnasium and exercise and where people were exercising, exerting themselves, breathing deeply and exhaling deeply. And while it seems to be a big building that is separated on paper, we don't really know if that separation, what the air things because it was not raised.
Yeah, I'm just trying to determine what kind of study the applicant will perform. Typically, when you prepare an air quality analysis or any type of um, you know, analysis is it's because of a new use, of a new construction and what those impacts will be upon the environment and what mitigations you can put in place.
Yeah, and we're all in new territory, but on page 3 of 7, you guys asked to identify all the things. Normally, we identify as around the road that you want to see, they can't see the city, they see.
Right, and that's a template condition of approval that is in all our approvals that.
I understand it, but at the same time, there is an issue, if by passing that, we're liable for anything.
No, they just have to adhere to the OSHA standards and whatever CDC requirements that are put in place.
And how do we know
Well,
established?
I mean, right now gyms are open and masks are required or may not be required. It depends on the CDC guidelines or OSHA guidelines as well. You know, that goes for all of us. So that will be up to each facility to implement and to follow. So, you know, we don't enforce that.
We have a motion?
You made comment about CDC, and so where in the document do we find that the tenant has to be compliant with the CDC regulations that define or comply with CDC? That's one thing. Second thing is that we're looking for a justification or something relative to what kind of impacts we would have. Where does this particular facility stand with regards to the environmental justice maps that have been put together, identifying where the hotspots are versus where there's no issues or things of that nature? I think that would be something that would be helpful. We're trying to do our best to reduce the environmental impacts that we have currently identified. Is this something that is going to be an improvement or not an improvement for the purpose of it being built?
I think this highlights the issue we have with when we have the general plan or any related implementation actions. There's a wide variety of things you can do to address these issues, but we're not there yet. I think in my mind, I'm looking for some sort of study, either as defined by need or any other national recognized agency that will verify that the air quality is based on those specific conditions. I know general code requirements don't necessarily take into account the unique facility that means potentially, we don't know, but harmful air quality levels. in terms of what I do in education, the evidence is pretty overwhelming for air quality and educational indoor education environments. It's quite astounding how much air quality impacts education. And then when we're talking about physical activity, it's even more impactful. So I'm just looking for some sort of reassurance that the budget we're approving is by healthy environment for the campus.
Well, I will offer the following, that if you had a school being proposed that potentially will have an outdoor area, an outdoor area doesn't provide any protection. And that's not something that we would analyze in terms of particulate. You can't filter the air outside, but there's still value in having an outdoor area for kids to recreate. So being inside a building, it actually offers more protection because you're not exposed to the elements. So, typically when the air quality is bad, what do they tell you? They tell you, advise you to stay indoors.
Yes, if you have that.
Right. And that is something that at the time when the building division does the plan check, they can consider it. You can put that as a request, as a condition of approval, that filtration be updated, better filters be used, will be changed more often.
Well, that's the point. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know if it's number 13 or number 15 or 17. I can't. From the podium, I can't make that determination.
And I would agree, and I'm not a physician, but based on what I know is that when the air quality is not good, they advise you to stay indoors. This is an indoor facility. So I will think that it offers a lot more safety for the kids in terms of air quality.
But I would like to make a motion to postpone the item pending additional study on indoor quality.
With the addition that the next time this comes around, I'd like to see the drop off and monitoring exhibit as well. That gives a better picture of the proposed use.
Did the staff have a recommended time going back for?
No, I don't. I'm actually not very clear what the type of air quality analysis that you're looking for. I've never done one of this myself, so I'm not sure exactly what is that you are directing us to ask the applicant to do. So if you can elaborate and give us precise direction, that would be really helpful.
Well, is it up to us to tell the applicant or the applicant to go back with the engineer and design and architect to discuss how they would go about meeting our concerns about the exercise and all that? Because I can tell you, as a board of trustee at the college, before we allowed the athletics to begin with, we took concern. We had to research it and come up with a presentation, and also show us that the improvement of filters and all that made it safe for them to have to actually exercise it again, practice and so I don't think it's us to tell them what to do. For them to come back and say, well, when you're concerned, here's what we address. And we're not asking you to come up, we actually monitor the applicant to come back with solutions. I think I'm not speaking for the entire commission here, it just seemed to be to clarify habitable without it.
So what you're asking is for information on the type of filters we're gonna use and what do those filters do and how can, what is the how those filters will filter the air? I mean, how can they improve? So create a baseline with what's there existing. I don't know, I'm just asking so I can, you know, because if I don't understand, then it's really hard to say we're ready to come back to planning commission. When we come back, we want to make sure we have the information that you're asking.
I'm sure that we'll consultancy the city and other people in discussion, they have businesses, business. And spas and swims, indoor swim schools. And other gymnastic facilities.
If I can make a suggestion, I think a study that compares existing systems that are in place and compared to like uses that would be like uses that have to comply with new construction standards. I think it would be very helpful to see how far the existing building is to new construction standard in terms of, you know, I think it'd be great to see for a project facilities, what are the new construction standards in terms of energy systems, air filtration systems, and how that compares to our baseline, which is the existing building that's been proposed and changed during the use, to see how compatible that new use and that existing building is to a new building with similar uses. I think that would be fair. Then we can have a better idea of, you know, if we were to approve such use, what's the disparity between the upgrades and if that's possible for that to achieve. Would that be fair?
The applicant is here. I don't know what's fair and what he can do, so I will wait, that's your determination, and we'll discuss with the applicant later.
Yeah, I think that would be beneficial, and I would like it to say, taking into account the actual air quality in the area, yeah, that's.
I guess that's one thing.
Yeah, absolutely, is,
Air quality, air quality is part of the building department, the envelope of the building, so.
Do you mind approaching the?
There are rules that we have for the air conditioning, for lighting, and that's called Title 24, so you have to meet those standards in order to use the facility. And that, all that is addressed actually in the construction documents.
Will you require your participants to wear masks?
That's a local thing, that has nothing to do with, that could change in a month or two. So, I mean, I have nothing to do with that, I mean, that's a department at,
the health department.
at the city level, yes, and we do that. Like any store that people. But as far as the air quality, that's why we have all these things in here, because we do calculations and all that stuff. So that's different for each type of space.
Yeah, my understanding is the Title 24 taking into account air quality or just energy.
But
I guess
air,
what we'd be looking for then is in the Title 24 report, essentially
right.
similar to taking into account air quality of the building's location.
Right.
Just compliance.
Right. Airflow, air quality.
We would like to see prior to discussion with people, or we would like to have that as a condition.
Well, I guess that's what we're what type of report would illustrate those qualities.
As the applicant stated, they have to comply with Title 24. Title 24 looks at not only the air quality or whatever is required for the mechanical equipment, but also looks at energy calculations, light and ventilation. So all of that is in Title 24. And whatever is required for the use and the type of facility, typically the code makes a distinction when there's kids present as well. And the requirements tend to be, more aggressive than if there was for adults to be used, like in a gymnasium. So that will be addressed during plan check. They will be required to meet all the requirements of the building code and be reviewed by the building division.
Okay, so the specific question though, says Title 24 taking account specific air quality of this it's an environmental justice area. Or does it take, does it utilize?
It has different reasons. It has different reasons for each building. Not only building area, but building type.
I'm not concerned about, I'm concerned about the air quality, not the type. The flight path, location of the freeway, particulates in the air. Okay, so I would be amenable to a report that takes all this into account and takes all those air quality issues into account in the flight path and the location adjacent to the freeway and shows compliance with air quality standards. So I guess we have a motion that was seconded. Would you accept? Okay, so the motion is the applicant as part of the approval process to provide an energy report that takes into account the location of the building in the flight path and specific air quality around the building. And also provides a monitoring plan for the pickup and drop off. Is there anything additional to that?
I'd like to put time on this because we could do analysis for a long time. And not that much of a significant impact.
Well, we're just asking them to provide a report.
I understand that when you continue, then
No, I was taking away the continuation criteria. I'm just asking them to provide a report as part of the planning process, which shows compliance.
so all you're doing is we're approving your disapproving, you're not worried about the time. You're not worried about the data when it's when
Yeah, I'm not. Whenever they submit their plan, they need to provide that report.
it's fine.
So, Chairman, just to ensure an understanding of recent discussion, that it sounds like you're suggesting that the report be provided and that any recommendations of the report be adhered to when they submit the building plan in lieu of a continuance and returning to commission. Is that correct?
That's correct. The report needs to take into account the actual air quality in that area.
Thank you. And then I believe there was another add-on to the motion to indicate that the drop off at a pickup area that was originally part of that continuance. So is there any reconsideration of that, or would there be an openness to that just being shown on the plans as well, that would the building plan check?
That's correct. I'd like to see the monitoring and drop-off location on site for staff to review.
Okay, thank you for your clarification.
Okay, so we have a motion, and second by the chair and a second by Vice Chair Pham. Madam Secretary, I'd like to call for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Alvarez,
No.
Commissioner Calderon,
Aye.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos,
No.
Commissioner Wu,
This is for the study, right? Approval of that.
Commissioner Vice Chair Fong,
Yes. Aye.
Chair Morrissey,
Aye.
so motion passes with majority vote.
Madam Secretary. And we will move on to public. That concludes business calendar, and we'll move on to comments. Are there any staff member comments?
Yeah, we will, just wanted to let commission know that the timing of the housing element has been changed a little bit. We're anticipating that the housing element will be presented to city council for their consideration sometime in spring. So the timeline has been delayed a little bit. So I just wanted to give you guys that update.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any commissioner comments? We'll start with Commissioner Already.
No comments.
Commissioner Calderon.
Sure, thank you, city staff, for answering all the questions, and congratulations to the applicant. Look forward to the gymnasium in Sugar.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
First of all, what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask that we adjourn this meeting in honor of Ruth Ann Moriarty. She's the oldest. She died at the age of 99 this past month. And her brother is Henry Sagerson, who obviously has done a lot from the standpoint of impacting, Santa Ana and the surrounding area. So if we could do that, I would appreciate that. It's Ruth Ann Sagerson Moriarty.
She was very good doing
I think a very big, in both the historic tracking of the family, but also the arts. And that's another thing that's very important to us. And that it's starting the year. Let's have fun.
Commissioner Wu, do you have any comments?
I really forgot about this. I want to thank you for answering the question.
Vice Chair, Commissioner Ramos, do you have any?
Yes, thank you. I actually have a question for staff regarding the housing element update. If I heard correctly, I believe I heard that the housing element would be going to the city council for approval in the spring. So I'm wondering, are we seeking HCD certification without council's approval to be compliant with HCD? Or are we just gonna I guess I'm wondering, like, are we gonna be in compliance with HCD, seeing as it doesn't sound like we're gonna meet their February deadline?
That is correct. As you know, Commissioner Ramos, there was a bill that was passed in the legislation that allows cities more time. The penalty of not complying and being required to do an update on the housing element every 4 years was removed from the law. So it gives us a little bit more time to provide comments, to prepare the element and submit it again for review with HCD. The trade-off in doing that typically, the trade-off is that you have to do all your land use changes within 1 year instead of 3. But in our case, because our opportunity sites, housing opportunity sites do not require any rezoning, it's really no impact to us. So that is correct. We won't be doing the February deadline. So we are taking a little bit more time to make sure that we're thoughtful and providing comments to HCD and doing a housing element that really is going to guide the city in terms of housing programs.
Great, thank you. And as the city continues to update its current draft, will any new drafts be circulated to the community with ample time so that they too can provide feedback and share their recommendations if they have any?
Absolutely. As you know, it does require that we release the draft again for public review, and absolutely we will be doing that and providing ample time for members of the public to provide feedback and any comments they may have.
Great. You may have, staff may have already done this. I haven't checked the housing element city website recently, but if it's not already there, will there be an updated timeline? And will members of the public that have participated in the housing element process be notified of this new timeline?
Yeah, basically we have an announcement in the housing element website that says that the date for public hearing for city council is to be determined. So we don't have an ultimate date. So once we do, we will definitely put it on our website, and anybody who submitted comments also will be notified.
Okay, great, thank you. Because I do know that there were various organizations and community members that felt that there had not been ample time for comment. And I believe some of them also sent us letters or spoke at our meetings in the last few months. So I'm glad to hear that they'll be notified of this change. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other comments, Commissioner Ramos?
That's all for now. Just everyone stay safe. Remember that LHA is providing testing at their site on both Tuesdays and Thursdays. Thank you.
Vice Chair Finn, do you have any comments? No comments. Thank you. Guess my comments are related to the topics today. It just illustrates how important that we get our implementation standards going. It's difficult for us to do that from here. Relating to items such as charging stations, compelling statistics on how much CO2 and carbon emissions charging stations save. It's important given that our density will require us to go beyond the minimum. Look at the code as the ceiling, but we should be looking at it as the basement. I mean, that's the minimum compliance. We should start to go beyond that. In every aspect, I mean, it's environmental, that's serious.
Chairman Morrison, I was driving by roadside down over the weekend, and I was kind of struck with the phenomenon. I saw a whole family on one bicycle, an electric bicycle, pressed up by little kids. And I saw bunches the groups of people on electric bikes. Now, I don't think that city will have a robust environmental justice and ecological goals that we have. But there seems to be a natural phenomenon of people now embracing the old way of not using automobiles, finding alternatives. I was in another city where they were using those electric wheel scooters. You know, and that seemed to really work in that particular city. So at this point, to your point about the charging station and all that, I think it would be nice to get some kind of study how aware some of those things, not just for the automobile, but for the other consumer who are trying not to depend on some of the gas vehicles, because it's growing popularity as communities begin to educate the community on the benefits of being carbon free. And as there's more money for affordable housing, there's also more money from the Department of Energy and from the state CPUC for inclusion of solar villages, zero carbon housing. But I don't know if anyone is proposing some of the design can't fit on those remnant properties that the city has, and the street lighting and all those kinds of things. So it's a question of how do we generate interest through the private market and nonprofit agencies, communities, the kind of you know, and other than getting us to the but I'm glad you brought that up. But I would be interested in this thing.
And there's a whole host of ordinances intends to be put in place to address all of those. Thank you for that. So I would like to adjourn this meeting in the name of Ruth Ann Segerstrom Moriarty. We will adjourn in her honor. Our next meeting held on Monday, February 14th, 2022, 5:30. Commissioner, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, staff.
Okay.